With that, I'd yield to Mr. Gohmert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and appreciate the witnesses being here today. It's rather fortuitous as far as the timing of this hearing, and my friend from California brought up the EB-5 visa issue because I've been finding out more about that just in recent days. Because here's the scenario. Man named Hector Hernandez Javier Villarreal, former Secretary Executive of Tax Administration Service of Coahuila in Mexico, apparently was arrested with his wife, charged with stealing money, embezzling money from Mexican banks. Local law enforcement in East Texas tell me that they were told it could be hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars that were embezzled. Anyway, they were arrested, and folks back home were told they put up $1 million in cash to be bonded out of jail in Mexico, and then applied for an EB-5 visa, which was granted. I'm not sure if there is a policy of get to yes, but certainly yes was gotten to rather quickly with these folks because they needed out of Mexico if they were going to be true fugitives and jump their bond. So they came to East Texas on an EB-5 visa. Local law enforcement and Homeland Security personnel in Texas were told that that actually within 2 or 3 days of the visa being granted, it was revoked. Well, local law enforcement in Tyler, Texas, stopped a car for a traffic violation. They have a good sense on some things just not seeming right. And when they found a car with $67,000 in cash, 2 kids, shotgun, and a driver, they started running these folks and stirred up a lot of interest of ICE as well as Homeland Security. ICE immediately stepped in, wanted to know why they were running the shotgun, which also raises issues. Wonder if this was involved in Fast and Furious. We have no idea. But the federal authorities stepped in. ICE took these folks and materials that were obtained by local law enforcement to the Dallas detention facility. And then Homeland Security reported to the sheriff's office in Tyler, also concerned about the running of the name and the gun. And they were told, well, you have to follow ICE because they've taken these folks to Dallas. Once in Dallas, the law enforcement tells me that the State Department told them they had held them for 48 hours. They got to let them go. That even though the visa was revoked, they got into the country before the visa was revoked. Therefore, they're lawfully in the United States, and therefore, you've got to let them go anywhere they want to go in the United States. So ICE reluctantly, as I was told, released them. And within a day or two, the State Department said, you know what, our neighbor to the south has warrants out on these folks. We really need to get them back. But since they had such large amounts of cash, they've apparently not had trouble going other places as yet undetermined. So that raises all kinds of questions. Are people able to just buy their way into this country by saying, look, you know, we know you've got tough economic times in the U.S., so whether it's $1 million or, as I understood it, these folks were willing to put up $500,000. It must have been perhaps in a high unemployment area. But it sounds like an EB-5 visa is just that, a way for people to buy their way into this country. And why in the world would a State Department direct the release of people for whom there were warrants out in our neighbor country? Supposedly, the State Department wants them to be a law and order country in Mexico. So I'm open to any suggestions as to how we correct this kind of fiasco from happening. And it makes you wonder, do we have terrorists that have utilized this same system to buy their way in? But any suggestions either one of you may have, perhaps we need an IG inspection on this or an investigation on just what all has gone wrong here. But any comments?
Congressman, thank you. I'm not familiar with with the case.
Well, I didn't figure you would be, but if things were as have been revealed to me, as I've conveyed to you, I would like your suggestions on how we fix things the way they are now.
Let me, if I can, given my unfamiliarity with the case that you describe, make some critical foundational points. Number one, that we as an agency conduct extensive background checks of individuals who seek to enter the United States.
Or you're supposed to.
We do.
Well, they would have turned up a warrant if that had been done here.
As I said, Congressman, I can't speak to the fact
Right.
of the case.
So all you can say is you're supposed to do a thorough background
Yes,
check.
indeed.
Right.
Yes, indeed. And we adhere to our responsibilities scrupulously and in a way that makes me quite proud. We've actually expanded the breadth and frequency of the background checks that we conduct during my tenure. You asked a question about the EB-5 program and whether it's really a vehicle for individuals to purchase entry into the United States. The EB-5 program, and I would respectfully submit that it is not. The EB-5 program does not provide, as legislated by Congress, that if you pay $500,000 in a targeted employment area or $1 million outside of one, you shall gain entry into the United States. Rather, that you must invest your capital into a new commercial enterprise that creates jobs for United States workers. It is an immigrant investor visa program that is designed to create jobs for U.S. workers. And so it is not a vehicle for individuals to buy a visa. And so I would welcome the opportunity to speak with you separately. I will learn about the case to which you refer, and I will be in a position to address the facts of the case specifically.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
Mr. Chairman, could I just ask unanimous consent to ask the IG if this is something he would be able and willing to investigate?
Without objection, our day is getting short. We have another panel. We have to be out of here by 4:30.
Congressman, if the chairman makes the request, I'll definitely look into it.
Okay, thank you. Chairman, I know where I need to go after the hearing.
The time of the gentleman has expired.